All right, this is Rob. You alluded to this story today on ESPN.com when we talked to J.A. Adande about the 3-point shot. It was a really good story, interesting story written by Kevin Arnovitz, who writes for ESPN. And he talked to several people around the league, some on the record, some off the record, about the three-pointer and just how it's taken over the game. Rob, listen to this stat, Rob, before I read this quote from an anonymous it's not a quote, it's actually an idea from an anonymous executive in the league. But here's a stat, Rob. In the history of the NBA, there have been 61 games in which the teams have combined for 90 or more three-point shots. 45 of those 61, Rob, have happened since the start of last season. So in the last year and a half of play. The three-point shot is now, well, let me say it this way. 39.5% of all shots, Rob, are now three-pointers. That's basically 2 in 5. Or 2 out of every 5 shots is a three-pointer. That's up 61% from 9 years ago. So it is out of hand, if I can say it that way. Some may think it's just great, but we're going to explore that in this segment. But let me tell you what a long time, as they describe him, league power broker, he said this, and he did it anonymously. This is his idea, Rob, for fixing this. He says, cap the amount of three-pointers that a team can take over the course of a game. So over the first 42 minutes of a game, remember, game's 48 minutes, over the first 42 minutes, each team can only take 20 three-pointers that count as three-point shots. So you could take more if you want, but only 20 of them are allowed to count as three-pointers. Obviously, that would mean strategizing. We're taking no more than 5 in the first quarter or whatever it might be because we got to save up, kind of like timeouts. So then he goes, once the offense runs out of their 20 three-point attempts, it can keep shooting from behind the line, but each 3 after that only counts for 2 points. When you get to the 6-minute mark of the fourth quarter, so halfway through the fourth quarter, when three-point attempts would once again count for 3 points. So I just think look, it's not the worst idea in the world I've heard, but I don't like it. I think it's kind of out there too far. I have a better idea that I'll get to in a little bit, but what are your thoughts on that? I just think that's too much thinking going on.
Yeah, I don't think that's where you want to go. I just think it's more of a style of play that unfortunately people have bought into. And a lot of it, we talk about the analytics, and some of it has looked preposterous. A 3-on-1 break with the lane open and a chance to tie the game. And it's just the automatic thought is to run to the three-point line and launch up a shot. So I think that's bad, and I think it has a lot to do more with just coaching and where we are and what people have bought into. And the players are just going along with it. Coaches could stop it. They could stop it at any point. They don't want to stop it.
Right. This is what they coach.
If a guy takes out, in the old days, if a guy took a bad three, come out the game. Time out. I've seen it.
Right.
Come out.
Right.
We're not doing that. That's just not the way it's done anymore. So players are following along. Complicated rules like that just don't make any sense. Right. And it would be like, I don't know, somebody hitting James Harden hitting a big three-pointer at the end of the game for the Nets or something, and they say, no, that's a 2, and you lose the game. Like it would just, oh, no, you're already over your limit. You just don't want it to be like that.
I agree with you. I mean, that they said in the last 6 minutes the shots would count for 3.
But
even
you know
if
what I'm saying.
20. But yeah, it's too much thinking. You know what I'm saying? Like
it's way too much thinking.
You know
and maybe you made 4 or 5 threes that they only counted as 2 earlier in the game, and you lose by 2. We
Right.
should have won by 2, right? Because we had 4 threes
And you
that
would
they
hear
only
a lot
counted
of
as
that.
2.
You would hear a lot of that. And you and I mean, we hear coaches in all sports and players say you don't want to think too much, right? Or they're in a slump. I was thinking too much, or I'm thinking too much. Because you don't want that to become a part of the game. The thing is this, and it makes this point in the article. The problem right now is it makes sense to keep shooting threes. It really does, because this was the math that the analytics guys figured out. And I remember talking to Rick Carlisle about this years ago. We were working together at ESPN, the former coach of the Mavericks. And I got to be honest, I hadn't even thought of it this way. And obviously for decades, nobody really thought of it this way. But what he said was, you know what? The math just shows that we've always felt like shooting 50% from the field was good, right? You shoot 50% from the floor, man, whether it's individually or as a team, that's great. Well, you only have to shoot 33% from three-point range to equal 50%. So we might look at a guy and say, man, he shot 3 for 9 from three-point range. But that's actually like the equivalent of shooting 50% from two-point range. And that's what these guys have figured out. So if you can shoot better than 33% from 3, then you're an asset. And I think the league average, Rob G, check it out. I think it was in the article. The league average might be around 35%. But most guys now shoot over 33% now. And, some are shooting 40 in their 40s. And so their efficiency, it just makes sense to take all these 3-point. The league average is 36%. So it just makes sense to take all these 3-pointers. Here's what I think should be done, Rob. And I think this because, and I've said this before, all sports, we're not going to get into all sports now, but they're all suffering from the analytics kind of reconfigurations. I think all sports, let's talk about the top 3. They are better with variety. In the NFL or football in general, I don't want to see 3 yards in a cloud of dust, and I don't want to see arena league football. I want a mix of passing and running. In baseball, I don't want to see all homers and strikeouts, and I don't want to see all singles and stolen bases. I want a mix, manufactured runs the whole 9 yards, bunting, all right, and some homers, of course. And in basketball, I want fast breaking, I want 3-pointers, I want mid-range shots, I want some post-ups, all of that. I think the way to solve this issue in the NBA, because I think, Rob, it's just going to go up. I think we will get to a point, if we continue this, where more than half of the shots are 3-pointers. Because it just, again, makes sense analytically, and guys are shooting the 3 better than ever. And so,
but why can't they be shooting the 2 better? Now that they've got the distance, they should be shooting the 2 better.
But it's not worth as much.
No, I get it, but I'm just saying, I just don't understand having to put up threes all the time. There are moments, I still think, and I'll go to this, I still think that LeBron cost his team a game in the playoffs, and this is because of thinking about the 3. And this is the one where Kyle Korver was in the corner. You remember that? The Cavaliers
the finals
were unscored.
Right?
They lost.
State?
Right, 11-0 to end the game. They got shut out after this play. LeBron has the ball. They're up by 2. Who am I thinking of?
He drove on Draymond.
Draymond Green has 5 fouls, Chris, is in front of him. So Draymond Green, with the game on, has 2 choices, right? He could try to defend the shot with a chance of getting his 6th foul. And then if you're LeBron, you're getting Draymond Green out the game. Or he steps aside and let LeBron score easily, right?
Right.
Those are your 2 choices. So I think that that's a better shot to me for LeBron and the Cavs in that situation, up by 2 with the basketball, Instead, he throws the ball out for a three-pointer that's missed, and they never score again. Now, obviously, it just, things just didn't work out.
Right.
But I didn't think that was a better shot. I really didn't. I thought LeBron with the ball in the paint against Draymond Green in foul trouble to go up by 4 is better than taking a long-distance three when you're already up by 2 with the ball. That to me is an example of when you can look at the three and it altering a game.
Yeah, I mean, that was obviously a controversial play right there. Here's what I think they could do, Rob. Forget all the 23-point limit and all that stuff that this anonymous executive proposed.
That's why I said it anonymously,
right?
Because he didn't want anybody to know that was his plan.
It actually says in the story, anonymous in parentheses, unless the idea gains traction. Then he wants credit. Right?
He wants credit, right.
But here's what I say, Rob. Cut off the corner 3. And not just the corner, but all the way up to the arc. So the arc ends, I think, right below the extended free throw line extended. Everything below that arc, cut it off, take that line off the floor, those lines off the floor, and that's no longer a three-pointer. So the corner 3, which is easy, it's shorter than the rest of the threes, it's eliminated. And what that would do is you would no longer be able to put 4 and 5 guys outside on the three-point line. Because you're not going to plant them all out there on that arc. So that would necessitate the return of some post play, some mid-range play, and yet you would keep the three-pointer. I think it's as simple as that, right? To me, I think that's a simple answer to it. Because you just don't want the game. And look, I think the NBA is still very exciting. But this is why we see a lot more blowouts, Rob. And so many games are just decided on who was hot from 3, right? It's kind of predictable,
It is. And if you're not making them, you're getting killed the other way. You're just getting killed.
Is the NBA too 3-point crazy, or do you love this new style? And what do you think of my idea and this anonymous executive's idea as well? Your turn to weigh in.
All right, Tony in Oakland, you're on The Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio.
Hey, fellas, how's it going?
Good, Tony. How are you?
Good. I actually agree with that executive. The only thing I kind of disagree with the executive on is that there should be a complete cap throughout the entire game so that a coach has to kind of strategize the entire game on how he wants to use those threes. So, for instance, I mean, you guys were talking about Chris Webber. Let's say a basketball player forgets how many threes they've already taken, and he takes a 3 thinking they have one more. And he makes it, and they think they got 3 points, and they actually only got 2, and they lose the game. So it makes coaches have to utilize how they're gonna strategize the 3-pointer. Chris, I normally agree with you, bro, but that corner 3 thing, I don't think that counts. It's an easy shot, but I mean, there's still times people miss it. So I think the cap is a lot better. And then just to sprinkle a little bit on that Chris Webber thing, Rob, I agree with you. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. And then Alex, I like the song Mojo. A lot of people don't know that song, and that's a good song. All
My guy.
Yo, my man got no love for C. Webb. I mean, he equated, we all know Chris Webber, the timeout in the NCAA championship game and all that. He just threw Webber into a fictional 3-point foible as well. My goodness, man. Come on, bro.
Yep. I guess it just fit. Cal in Ohio, you're on The Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Cal?
Hey, Chris and Rob, what's up?
What up, man? How are you?
Good. Hey, thanks for doing what you guys are doing. You guys are the best radio sports show, no question.
Thank you, brother. We appreciate that.
Hey, I don't want them to hinder the 3-point line at all because, growing up, you used to have to think you had to be built like Sean Kemp or Shaquille O'Neal to be in the NBA. Now kids can grow up knowing that they can look like Steve Kerr or Steph Curry and have a chance to make it to the NBA. And you take away the 3-point line, that's going to affect that a lot. And hey, the NFL's doing the extra end of the game technique to get teams to be able to come back? Why don't they put the 4-point line for teams to come back in the NBA? That's all I got.
All right, look, I do believe Steph Curry is one of a few players who have really brought back an emphasis on skills. I think James Harden is similar. Guys that aren't incredibly athletic, but they're so skilled that they can excel. I mean, be among the greatest players in the league because of their skill. And I think that's how it used to be, whether it's a Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, and guys like that. But I think I think there's an overstatement, Rob, on this notion that anybody now can be like Steph Curry. I mean, Steph Curry is 6'3". I'm not saying, anybody can't learn how to shoot. Obviously, anybody can't shoot like him. But, I get everybody feeling like they can shoot the basketball and dribble the basketball and excel. But people are talking about it, Rob, like just any old guy can make the NBA now because of Steph. And I'm like, dude is still 6'3", and I bet you he's got crazy athleticism compared to most people. Not compared to NBA guys, essentially, but most people, yeah, I mean, that's a high-level athlete right there.